how the mind is programmed and
Paul,
controlled.
I have a question. A lot of people ask me, what is the one book you would recommend and for nutrition or health? And it's always your book.
That's the same one I recommend.
I was just about to ask you, so coming from you, what is the book that you recommend?
I recommend that book because
Yeah.
I took the best books I could recommend in all the relevant fields and cultivated my knowledge and experience in those key areas and wove it into a system that helps the person identify which key bits of knowledge are going to make the most rapid change in them, right?
Yeah.
So if you score high in the stress chapter, or the stress column, you got to read the stress chapter, which is like a little book on stress, of all the things you got to know or you're never going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my book is a synthesis of many good books and, you know, an entire lifetime and clinical experience of knowing what is important to worry about and what isn't important to worry about
Yeah.
at any, you know, given stage of your own evolution or journey, right?
Because I feel like that book can heal anybody.
Well, I tell people all the time, before you spend $500 an hour to come see me,
Get it.
read it and
Yeah.
practice it for 4 to 6 months. Then if you still have a problem, it's worth coming to see me. But if you come without doing that, you're going to pay me $500 an hour to read that book to you in a nice room with a glass table. And I love reading for $500 an hour. But, you know, it's not really the best use of my time nor their time or energy or money.
Right.
Certainly there's cases where people need me to clarify things. But I don't know of any single book that ties the key essentials together in a package that's fully customizable to any individual.
There is none.
Right? You know,
That's the one.
so if I had to say what is another great book that I think everybody should read, I would say Nutrition and Physical Degeneration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that book comes from a time period where scientists weren't prostituting themselves. That, you know, scientists are now the biggest prostitutes there is.
Yeah.
And Weston Price was highly regarded as a scientist, was extremely intelligent, made many advances in multiple fields, and is the kind of guy that has the credibility to listen to, right? And his research was in the field, authentic, observational, not theoretical, making stuff up, sliding scales based on some illusory factor, right? And he shows you with vividity through photographs what, for example, happens when a native population eats processed sugar, processed flour, or white man's foods for 1 year. And how their offspring now show signs of genetic dysfunction and inability to reproduce themselves authentically. So you have things like flat feet, craniofacial distortions, occlusal distortions, airway distortions, balance and coordination distortions, and all the things you see in Pottinger's cats, the
Yeah.
book Pottinger's
Yeah.
Cats. Right? So, because food and water are what we recreate ourselves out of, they're really sort of the paints in the artist's palette, right? If Elliot wants to make himself bigger and stronger or faster, if he chooses the wrong foods from the artist's palette and the wrong liquids, it actually goes against his training, and the training becomes even more of a threat to the body as opposed to an aid to accomplishing an objective. So Weston Price did a very good job of showing that the first criteria for putting anything on the palette of food, the menu, is that it be legitimately good food. The second most important thing is that it's the right good foods for you, right? For example, you can take pineapples to the Eskimos and feed them pineapple, and they'll probably think it's lovely and sweet, but 6 months later they'll all be swollen up, bloated, and they'll be gaining body weight like crazy because they don't have the biochemistry to metabolize something with that concentrated a sugar in it, because nothing like that grows in an ice field, right?
Right.
So point being is you can take blubber and feed it to the Hawaiians and make them fat and sick too,
Right.
and throw their biochemistry off. But the point I'm driving home here is that both of them were eating high quality, unadulterated, organic, raw, good food,
Right.
just the wrong ones.
Yeah.
So Weston Price made it very clear. being out in nature and eating good food alone won't do it. For example, he showed there were no healthy vegetarian tribes. So if there was a healthy vegetarian tribe, there was a one close by eating meat that showed improvements in health overall.
Mm-hmm.
So he showed clearly that if there was a choice between eating meat and not eating meat, that eating the meat produced better overall general health based on many reliable biomarkers, such as bone structure, dentition, energy levels, bowel movements, things that are normal to look at. Those realizations are really kind of like the bedrock of what health is, right? It doesn't matter what your 24-hour cortisol DHEA rhythm is, or your melatonin levels, or your testosterone levels, or any of these other things people are so vividly excited to measure today and spend tons of money, right? If your diet's wrong and you're not getting enough sleep and doing the things you got to do, all the testosterone patches and hormone patches and supplements in the world are really just a waste of time, energy, and money. And they actually are worse because they give you a license to think that you're okay.
Yeah,
and
false.
So you drive yourself deeper into the illusion that you're behaving effectively with regard to what it takes to be a healthy human being. You see my point?
Right.